I want to bring in Jeff Flock, our reporter, to talk about this issue. Jeff, do you have any more details?
Yeah, well, we just, talked to Roger Goodell last week at the NFL draft here in Chicago, and, you brought up the possibility that this could be overturned. A number of Roger Goodell's punishments on various issues have been overturned. You can expect the NFL Players Association is going to appeal this because, as you point out, he's going to forfeit 4 games worth of salary as well. In many cases, Roger Goodell's punishments have been either overturned or at least minimized. So that's certainly a possibility. But as you point out, Gerri, this is the high end of what it could have been. A lot of speculation around 2 games, but 4 games and $1 million. That's high end, I'd say.
What I find interesting here, because we just had a guest on who made this point, this just doesn't impact, Brady. It impacts the Patriots. It impacts the game. It impacts the profitability of the sport. What do you think the broader reach of this will be?
Well, we just talking here, several people here in the office said, boy, the Bears are volunteering to play the Patriots in one of the first 4 games of the season. I think you'll have a lot of teams volunteering to do that. I'm not sure what the Patriots' schedule is for the first 4 games, but 4 teams just got kind of a break if this suspension is held up because, you've got a second-string quarterback playing for a Super Bowl team. It's like the Cavaliers and the Bulls now playing. It's like playing the Cavaliers without LeBron James. You get a real big break there. So good for those teams, but as your earlier guest pointed out, possibly bad for the NFL, although certainly a lot of eyeballs on it if this comes to pass.
You mentioned Roger Goodell has instituted fines and penalties that have been overturned in the past. You've got to wonder today, what's the likelihood that that happens all over again?
Well, yeah, you get an arbitrator in there, and we just went through it with the Ray Rice situation. He banned somebody indefinitely. Well, that wound up not to be the case. So the commissioner is not all powerful as past NFL commissioners have been. And he is open to scrutiny. It's a kind of a no-win situation for him. He can put it out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stick.
Do you think what do you make of the fact that this is happening now? Football has had some black eyes. We've had some real issues with players, not cheating, but some of their off-the-field antics. And in particular, I know you've seen some of the issues with women, that have been so problematic and given so much time in the press. Is this the way back? Do you think that the Goodell is thinking we've got to have a strong response because we've been criticized in the past for not responding strongly to other problems?
I think that's certainly something in the back of his mind. We saw him last week, as I said, in Chicago. He seems like he still enjoys the job. And you got to wonder, though, with all of the things that you laid out there and that has happened to the NFL, it's a pretty tough job. There's a lot of eyeballs there. There are a lot of reporters following him around with every move that he makes. This is such, it's become the national pastime. Football has become. I sort of like baseball still myself, but I think that ship has sailed.
I like it all. I want you to hear, though, because we have the sound of Tom Brady defending himself back in January. Listen to this.
Is Tom Brady a cheater?
I don't believe so. I feel like I've always played within the rules. I would never do anything to break the rules. I have no knowledge of anything. I have no knowledge of any wrongdoing.
I've always played within the rules. That's Tom Brady, a definitive, really defense of himself, saying that he's always tried to do the right thing. And here we are, so many months later, and clearly the NFL doesn't agree with him. And they're really taking their most high-profile star player out to the woodshed.
You're absolutely right. This couldn't be any more huge, especially after a Super Bowl victory. This is huge. There had been speculation that maybe Roger Goodell's relationship with Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, they get along pretty well, might kind of have him go easy on the Patriots, but it doesn't appear that has been the case here. I think this is certainly on the tougher side of any potential punishment that you saw out there.
Well, I keep talking about Tom Brady, but the reality is Two other members of the team, well, two people who are in charge of taking care of the equipment for the team, they're suspended without pay, too. And I would think, it's my guess, that this will impact those folks much more than it will impact Tom Brady. Because
yeah, I don't think it's certainly about the money for him.
No.
I mean, you know, that 4 games is not a big deal. He's got more money, knows what to do with right now. I wonder, though, and this will probably come out, whether the reason for the length of the suspension was not only the act, which, as you pointed out earlier, is something that there isn't definitive proof about, but that Tom Brady was not particularly forthcoming in cooperation with the investigation. And as you just played in the bite, him denying that he had anything to do with it and that he didn't cheat. Sometimes it's best in these situations, as we've learned, whether it's politicians or corporate executives, if you've done something wrong, to come out and admit it. Do other teams do this sort of thing, for example? Is there a case to be made that way? I don't know, but if you just stonewall it, sometimes that's not the best way to go.
Well, and of course he didn't want to share the texts that he sent back and forth with members of this the equipment team. He didn't want to do that. And here they are right here. You can see exactly what was said back and forth between his equipment folks. And, you know, what's interesting here is they sound really close and tight, like they talk all the time, but in fact that was not the case. If you look at the report itself, you can see the words there. You know what I find really sad about this whole thing, Jeff, is it's not likely that Tom Brady needed the help to win the game. So why
well,
cheat?
Here's the other funny thing. The other hilarious part about that is that the game was fairly close in the first half when the balls were deflated. I think it was 17-7 at the half. It was after that they found the problem, reinflated the balls. In the second half is when the Patriots really ran up the score. So the argument could be made they did much better when whatever they did to cheat in the first half got reversed. So it is kind of crazy. And, you know, Tom Brady has this is a bit like, I guess Roger Clemens, for example, in Major League Baseball, or Barry Bonds, who, you know, there's not definitive proof on those guys, but they're not going to get in the Hall of Fame because there is a suspicion that they cheated with performance-enhancing drugs. Both of those players probably would have been in the Hall of Fame anyway, just on what they had done before they started with performance-enhancing drugs. And not to equate this with performance-enhancing drugs, but at the same time, I think Tom Brady has a great legacy had he not done anything to try and tip the scales in his favor. And this is going to be a black eye that's going to stick.
A black eye that's going to stick. Jeff, thank you for that. Just to recap here, in case you're just joining us, as you can see on the screen, Tom Brady, the New England Patriots quarterback, star quarterback, suspended for 4 games for his role in Deflate-Gate. The Patriots will be fined $1 million. They will lose first-round selection in the 2016 draft. And members of that team that was responsible for handling the equipment, they are also suspended without pay. We'll be right back.